Today I want to talk about some of the best songs that I have heard in 2021. But before I begin, let's start with an honorable mention for Plastic Love by Maria Takeuchi, that image that went viral on the internet thanks to YouTube's recommendations, which is something that has a completely zero scientific base and nobody understands. Maria Takeuchi, as well as her husband and producer of this song, Tsuro Yamashita, I hope I pronounced that name right, both of them are royalties in city pop and legends in this genre of music. And Plastic Love represents some of the best that you can get from city pop. And this is also a great introduction to city pop in case you weren't aware of this ultra-specific genre of music that originated in Japan. And the reason I'm bringing this whole thing up, like this song up, is because while it was a song released in the 1980s, it just got re-released with a new music video, which is crazy that a song from the 1980s got a new music video 30 years after its initial release. But let's start the list now. At number 10 is Don't Go Dark by The Bleachers, a fantastic, youth-oriented kind of John Hughes inspired band. They always have a great youthful energy to them that I really like. But on their newest album, Take the Sadness Out of Saturday Night, they represent a more mature, more of an introspective sound than before. And Don't Go Dark, one of the tracks of that new album, is I think one of the best Bleachers track, because it's actually very simple when it comes to the composition. There's not a lot of bells and whistles, but the simplicity is precisely the beauty of this song, because without any distractions, why did I say distraction? The personality of the Bleachers' artistry really shines through, and I really like just the honesty and emotion that you hear in Jack Antonoff's voice on this track. And there's no distractions here, it's all just the vocals as well as the lyrics and the message of the song. And that's enough for the Bleachers to shine, because it's really their personality that makes their songs special, and this song really captures that very well, especially in Jack Antonoff's vocals. You can really hear the moments of desperation or hope just in his vocals alone. I really like how emotional his vocals are, and they really pierce through the music and really stand out. Next up at number 9, Anthony Kiedis by Remy Wolf. Remy Wolf is a promising new talent, and she just released her new album in 2021, Juno. And while Juno was not a perfect album by a long shot, it still represented a very unique and wholly original voice, which is exactly what the music industry needs. It needs originality, creativity, and it needs a musician with a vision, and that's exactly what Remy Wolf is. She has her own unique and original voice, and I hope she continues to hone her craft in the future, and I'm optimistic that she's gonna be better than she already is right now. Next up, at number 8, is The Sneaker Dance by Bonito. I'm completely aware that this song comes from a Nike advertisement for their brand new shoe line or whatever, but I don't care. This is just quintessential Bonito, right? It's exactly what you expect from KKB. It's upbeat, it's joyful, it's energetic, and it's actually weirdly sinister. Like there's like an odd layer of darkness behind all of that joy, which is all just traits of classic KKB. But in this song, all those classic KKB elements are amplified to 11. And this song is such a huge ball of energy that I did not know was even possible from the song. Next up, number 7 is Stratego by Iron Maiden. Now I will admit that the production on this song is extremely lacking, as well as on many other songs on their 2021 album Senjutsu. It sounds very drowned out and you can't really hear the vocals clearly. and as well as some of the instruments at times also feel very drowned out and very muddled. But even when their production takes a hit, Iron Maiden is still one of the most legendary heavy metal bands out there. And they definitely still have it. They still have that same energy that made them popular all those years ago. They still have that epic and ambitious sound, especially on a track like Stratego. You see the lyrics and the vocals and the instruments. It sounds epic, it sounds grand, and it sounds like war, essentially, which is what a lot of Iron Maiden songs sound like. And I mean, it's very impressive that this long after their debut and at this point in their career, they still managed to create something that is so epic and so big and grand in scale. It sounds like the kind of song that they could have created 20 or 30 years ago, and they still managed to create that kind of song right now. That's very impressive. And number 6 is Halley's Comet by Billie Eilish. This song is just a heartbreaking song in every way. And the thing about Billie Eilish is whether she's making really dark, horror-inspired music or her new kind of more mature, emotional music. It doesn't matter because she always comes across as extremely honest and really pulls no punches. And the thing with Halley's Comet is, yeah, it pulls no punches. This is a very authentic and genuine song, which is exactly why all of the sadness in this song feels justified, it feels earned. This is a song that doesn't feel like it's being melodramatic or it's like begging for your tears, because all of the sadness in this song sounds very real, it sounds genuine, which is exactly why it also is very heartbreaking. Next up at number 5, The Princess and the Clock by Takeuchi Bonito. Once again, you see Takeuchi Bonito on this list, but this is a different kind of Takeuchi Bonito. This is the new sound of Takeuchi Bonito. This is the Civilization song, as I like to call it, after their album. And the reason this new sound is so special because it sounds very different from previous KKB. They are now taking inspiration from house music, and their music is a lot more repetitive now, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I mean, I actually like that about this song. And it's also very inspired by fantasy and a lot of fairy tales and mythical elements that make Takeuchi Bonito sound really fresh and really different. And I really like this bold new direction that they are going in. A lot of people say that they sound like a cult, which oddly they do sound like a cult. But I mean, if they're going to sound like a cult, I'm all in for that, I don't care. Next up at number 4 is Asking for a Friend by Churches, one of the best synth pop bands out there. And at best, Churches managed to create this amazing combination of different synth pop layers that keep building on each other to create a symphony of sound that is so satisfying to listen to. And that is exactly what Asking for a Friend is. I think it shares a lot of traits with their best song, Clear as Blue. Both of these songs have a very rewarding build-up. It keeps building up and building up, and it has a very amazing release as well as the end, where all of that build-up eventually amounts to this big, amazing beat with so many layers, and it sounds so satisfying and euphoric. But Asking for a Friend from their new album Screen Violence has a different aesthetic because it's tied to their new album, and it sounds darker and it sounds more aggressive than before. And I really like how this song is a little bit different, but it still shares a lot of the best traits of Clear as Blue, their best song yet. Next up at number 3 is Working for the Knife by Mitski. This song is kind of repetitive, and I'm saying that as a compliment to Mitski because if any other artists attempted this, there's a high chance that the song will just come off as a very shallow and repetitive song. But because it's Mitski, the repetitive nature of the song actually becomes one of the best things about the song, because it makes the song very hypnotic, because you get stuck in this loop of melody. It's the same melody again and again, but it doesn't sound repetitive because you kind of get immersed in that sound and you kind of get stuck in that loop alongside with Mitski. And that's the genius of Mitski. She actually sounds a lot like Kate Bush, really, because she's still making pop music, but it's very experimental pop music and it's very hypnotic type of pop music. I'm very looking forward to her new album that's gonna release in 2022. Please, more songs like Working for the Knife. And number 2 is All Too Well, the 10 minutes version by Taylor Swift. It's songs like this that really reinforce why Taylor Swift is one of the best and most outstanding storytellers as well as songwriters of our generation. Her quality of storytelling here is just leaps and bounds above what you expect from pop music. You don't get this quality of storytelling in most cases in pop music, and it's 10 minutes long. And I don't mind that at all. In fact, I hope it's 15 minutes long or 20 minutes long if it keeps up with this quality of storytelling as well as Taylor Swift's vocal delivery. She's a very good storyteller with her voice as well. Very expressive and really brings you into her world. Next up, and number 1, is Glider by Japanese Breakfast. This is my best song of the year because it just has an unparalleled sense of wonder. No doubt because it is the theme song for a video game called Sable, and that is a game that's about going on an adventure on an alien planet. I mean, I have played some parts of that game, and yeah, it's really inspired by that game. It really sounds like what you expect that game would sound like. It's a very alien sound. It doesn't sound like anything that a human being would make. And I'm saying that as a compliment because it's a very original, a very alien sound that sounds very inspired by fantasy, and no other track this year could bring me to another world and immerse me in another world the way that Glider did, and especially because it's a world that is so different from ours. It's a very fantasy, very whimsical kind of song. So those are some of my favorite songs of 2021.
Come in to me.